What we are doing here is talking about returning to love. And when we talk about returning to love, it is like working with the energy of love in our everyday lives. We see a live example of this in the life of Guru Nanak. Guru Nanak Sahib is an embodiment of oneness and of love. We are so happy that in the 7th edition of Returning to Love event, we were so privileged to have with us Amardeep ji and Vininder ji, who've made these beautiful docu-series called Allegory, which talks about Guru Nanak Sahib's travel journeys. They made an attempt to assimilate the essence of his spiritual journeys.
Kudos to Anika and her team for creating Voice and this initiative of Returning to Love. It is a beautiful concept, and the newer generation I think needs this in the world which is so compartmentalized today. And it's the same vision as Guru Nanak had, to unite everybody with love.
I would like to thank Anika and the Voice team and the Returning to Love platform for having created this fabulous opportunity today to bring together the community to see the Guru Nanak documentary series and have a discussion thereafter. Such programs are very meaningful and help increase the message of oneness which Guru Nanak stands for.
We saw a film today, one amongst a 24-part docu-series, which is actually available on thegurunanak.com. And it's an excellent film that's really, really inspiring. I'm a filmmaker myself, so for me it was very inspiring to see these two filmmakers who have spent years of their life kind of travel around South Asia and collect this amazing data and take us on this journey that Guru Nanak once took. And I think it's a very beautiful film because it spreads the message of love, of togetherness, of oneness, which is very important at this time in the kind of society we live in. So I'm actually very, very glad that I came to this event of Returning to Love and experienced this film by these very courageous and inspiring filmmakers.
It has been a really enriching experience to have interacted with the creators of the movie about Guru Nanak, which is also available at thegurunanak.com. Sometimes it so happens that the answers that you're looking for can be found at the most unsought after places, and today was one such moment for me. So there are some takeaways for me from the entire discussion today. When Sir told us that the circumstances got harder and harder, but because they were driven by a purpose of uplifting the consciousness not just of one being but of collective humanity, that purpose in itself somehow helped them to draw the divine support that kept them going ahead in their journey. Also, when asked about if they themselves are spiritual, because the movie is about Guru Nanak's journey of spirituality, there was a very nice answer that we got, which is that spirituality is not going into meditation in some silent corner, but rather traversing through many difficulties that come along the way when you follow your purpose. After purpose, he also talked about passion. And what really, really struck me was that it is not sufficient to just follow your passion, but also to create passion. While you keep creating passion and following that, after a certain period of time, you will be moved towards another passion, and that's how you build up your entire journey of life.
We had an incredibly moving evening, and it was such a rare privilege and honor to see two people who were so passionate about a cause which they believed in. In fact, I would say their passion bordered on insanity or madness. The junoon, that's the word which we can use for it. And it's always inspiring to see somebody who's gone to such lengths to make a dream come true. To me, the top 2-3 things which stood out was firstly his concept of work is worship, because when questioned on spirituality, he spoke about how the everyday work itself for them was spirituality. And I think that's a concept all of us can borrow for our everyday lives, because there is this concept we have that there will be one day when we'll sit down and we'll have that aha spiritual moment. But I think spirituality should permeate every single thing you do every single day. And that was a moment when a light bulb went off in my mind. The second one was this entire series of coincidences of spirituality which he spoke about, and how he had a tailwind which powered everything. And that kind of tells you that, just start off with something you're passionate about and believe that there's a higher spiritual power which is going to be blessing you. And then the last thing is just the scale, the impressive scale of how they're managing to recreate history. Because while to all of us spirituality can mean, or religion can mean, small things like a temple, a gurudwara, I think what they're attempting here is amazing, because they're amalgamating the wisdom of people like Kabir Das and all the other gurus who were there and bringing it together. So I think it's very, very culturally significant, and it's an amazing project. I was very moved by what I saw this evening.
I would like to point out two things that were mentioned in today's meeting that I saw reflected in my own creative journey, but I wasn't able to directly put into words. I noticed, even though my own creative journey had a very different medium and a very different theme, that the point of building your passion and not following your passion was true. And the point of the creative spiral, that for me was the 2020 lockdown, really impacted the way I was able to, put time and put effort and put my soul into my creative work. The second point I'd like to bring to attention is something my mother touched upon, which is the tailwind that is provided to you when you really believe and really care about what you're working in with a deep, like a soul deep passion. The world sort of just clicks into place together and allows you to bring your project to fruition.
It's a very great initiative taken by Mr. Amardeep Singh in doing this documentary. It's about the religion, about the story of Guru Nanak Dev, but the way he has conceptualized the whole project is commendable, because he is not telling you the story, but he is making you discover new locations, new points of interest. So I think the whole journey of taking you through the story along with the travel experiences, that makes it very binding for anybody to keep sitting and watching it. I think he has done a great effort, and anybody who sees it would like to go and visit those locations that he has covered in the documentary.
Hi, my name is Varun Chaudhary. I guess it's my third or fourth Returning to Love event, and as always, Anika and team behind the voice, they do a phenomenal job in terms of curating the best of the ideas into something which is more viable for a larger audience or even a niche audience. So I think even today's event was something on those lines, and I really enjoyed it in terms of it's not just the whole idea behind the movie, but also in terms of putting the interesting aspects and allowing the viewers to ask the questions from the filmmakers. I thought that was a very interesting touch. And in general, I think if I'm to talk about the movie, the sneak peek that we got today, it was really interesting for me. Although I don't belong to the same faith, but like the filmmaker said, Guru Nanak Dev Ji should not be bracketed in a faith per se. It was all about oneness, and that's something Voice has been advocating for, and I truly believe it, and they're champions now. I believe in this space. I truly back them also in whatever capacity I can. But then also talk about the movie a little bit. I think for me, it also humanized the concept of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, like how as children we've been humanized with the concept of Ram in Ramayana, or say Shri Krishna or Arjun in Mahabharata. I think that's the level I would put the movie in terms of humanizing the whole aspect of the persona that Guru Nanak Dev Ji was. So I would like to thank the filmmakers. I would like to thank the Voice team who pulled off such a beautiful event, and hopefully I'll keep coming back to returning to love in terms of the events that you guys create. So